What does Smoke have? Well, he has this, and I think it's definitely worth sharing with you guys. The Commonwealth Office of Technology confirmed in December 2024 that Ripple's Interledger protocol is, quote, gaining traction as a solution for enabling different blockchain networks to communicate seamlessly. Checkmark. The ISO 222 approved request is further confirmation that Ripple's ILP is gaining momentum in traditional finance as a leading interoperability solution. Interoperability is key. Jeez, Max, you already mentioned twice interoperability. Is this a quant outline? Pump the brakes on that one. But whatever the case be, it says it's documented. So again, what does Smoke really have? Well, basically speaking, as we see here, Commonwealth Office of Technology, you do see here, like it says, united we stand, divided we fall. I mean, kind of get the gist. But whatever the case be, in big, huge letters, Blockchain Technology Working Group. Ah, you're talking about working groups. So you are talking about Quant. No, no, no. We're not talking about Quant, but whatever the case be. Interesting to see some of this. So jump into this next particular part of this pamphlet. Here's what matters to you. You see here, financial services sector, and in the highlight, it says in 2024, blockchain tech and cryptocurrencies have profoundly impacted the financial industry. Bottom part talks about that interoperability. So you are talking about Quant. Max, hey, I'm glad you're paying attention back in the back row, but at the end of the day, we're mentioning interoperability. It's not just Quant. So Interledger Protocol, gaining traction and solution for enabling different blockchain networks to communicate seamlessly. Institutions like Ripple, like it says, are utilizing this protocol to allow various cryptocurrencies and traditional currencies to be exchanged more fluidly, enhancing the efficiency of global transactions. Okay, so basically it's like this. We're going to jump into this other part because just like blockchain, Smoke has some more links and more things to connect it all. If anything, we'll show you what we're talking about here and kick it over to Jesse just a brief moment. So June 4th, fast forward to the present. Smoke points out it's official. ISO 222 site shows approved requests to enable Ripple's ILP on the Swift network. Technically speaking, we kind of cover this, but this is a little bit different. Okay, so for one, what kind of change requests do we see? Now, if you want to check it out for yourself, here's the citation. Go to ISO222.org/maintenance/catalog-change-requests. And of course, there's a question mark, search equals crypto. Let's play this, draw your own conclusion, and we'll kick over to Jesse for some key analysis in regard to the findings. We appreciate you guys. Hopefully we earned that like. Here we go.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. It's just a few taps. You can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
And there's no recording on it, so I'm just going to kind of briefly talk about this. So he highlights some of these key things in the catalog, and on this part, I'm actually going to pause it. Nexo standards, crypto finance Deutschland, right? Moja Loop. How many times have I done a deep dive with you guys in regards to Moja Loop, especially when it comes to XRP, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? But 3 times in that citation, I know Jesse's paying attention, we see a citation about Moja Loop, and on the bottom part, a little bit more about Nexo. That's interesting. And of course, the dates of January 2024, payments and clearing settlement. And again, it's been approved. Some of you guys wondering, is it pending? No, it's been approved. Okay, so that's important. Now, as he pulls this up, as in Smoke, he's going to show you another example of why this matters. So you see here, for example, these changed requests for the update of ISO 222 financial repository items. And I think he's going to jump into something here. Yeah, that's right. Moja Loop again. Description of the change request. And as he jumps down here, remember how Jesse always talked about in our last videos about literally TCP/IP? Well, what about, for example, that concept again of tokenizing the internet? Say what you want, Interledger Protocol, V4 packet. Packets of information have got to be sent, right? Absolutely. So, as you see here, Smoke highlights some of this. And what you also see here, again, is important because he jumps to this next page and boom, boil it, mash it, stick it, and stew. Interledger Protocol, the V4, and some of those design goals, but whatever the case be, it's that it's simplistic, it's got its own stack, and again, simple payment setup protocol, stream protocol. I mean, again, more use cases, more examples of Smoke bringing the receipts. We're going to kick it over to Jesse for our key analysis of the findings. Take it away, Sir Jesse.
Hey guys, hope all is well. Yeah, so the first document that you showed, it was talking about how Ripple allows for different cryptocurrencies and traditional currencies to be more fluid. Okay, so this is another word that they're using. Instead of saying on-demand liquidity or liquidity, when you're trading, you're going from one asset type to the other, or one asset class or one asset type to another asset type. Yeah, right there. So Ripple Ripple are utilizing this protocol to allow various cryptocurrencies and traditional currencies to be exchanged more fluidly, enhancing the efficiency of global transactions. And this is the whole purpose of the XRP ledger from the very beginning. This has been planned for many years. Okay, this is to fix the Triffin's dilemma, the issue of having a global reserve currency. Oh man, if I try to explain that, it's going to take like 40 minutes. But you can't have just one global, like you can't have a fiat currency serve as a global reserve currency, right? It's just, it creates so many imbalances, so on. You need a neutral bridge asset so that the whole world can settle from one asset to another, so that way each country can do their own monetary policy. But again, so a lot of people think, well, I think some people are looking at Interledger and they're like, oh, this is a specialized protocol and for payments, and any blockchain can use it and any blockchain can do what XRP is doing. No. The XRP ledger is a very specialized DLT built on top of the Interledger protocol and is specifically built for payments. And then you've got a decentralized exchange that's built on top of the XRP ledger, which brings it even further. Okay, like the XRP ledger is very advanced. Plus, they have a CBDC platform where central banks are building their CBDCs on, and you can tokenize anything, and just everything about the Interledger protocol and the XRP ledger is made for payments, made for liquidity, made for cross acts, going from one asset type to another. Okay, so that's why you see this comment here. We're saying Ripple allows for different cryptocurrencies and traditional currencies for to be for fluidity, to have fluidity, right? They're meaning liquidity. And what they're technically saying here when they're saying traditional currencies, indirectly say anything that's tokenized as well, right? So, and in regards to what you showed about the ISO 20022, literally, I saw a document, I forgot to send it to you. Right now, they're like 99% ready. Like literally every different payment company, payment systems, they're all ready for ISO. 99.9% of them are ready right now. That's why that they set the date to November 24th being the final cutoff date for the ISO 20022. So everybody's got to be ready because, like I said, 99. I'm not sure if it's 99.99, but pretty close. Like 98 to 99% are already ready. They've tested. They're good. They're good to go. And then the Interledger document he pulled out, again, you're seeing that ILP v4 packet, because the TCP/IP, the original Internet of Information, the way that it moved information is I'm not an internet guy. I mean, this is very heavy stuff to explain, but I'm just giving you kind of general ideas. So I'm probably not going to explain it perfectly, but they're packets of information that are going over this internet protocol, TCP/IP. They're packets of information, packets of data. If you send an email, it's less data than a picture. And if you send a picture, it's less data than a video. So a video contains more data. But at the end of the day, my understanding is the internet protocol, you're moving packets of data. over this protocol, right? So the document that came from the Hyperledger Foundation, which is now called the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust, where they laid out the Internet of Value, it was leaked. The community put their hands on it many years ago, 7 8 years ago, and they showed how they had built the Internet of Information. They laid out, it showed exactly how they had built the Internet of Information, how much time it took, the protocols involved, and different companies that help it to grow and mature. And then they showed the Interledger protocol, the Interledger stack, how this is a new stack, but instead of being the Internet of Information stack, it's the Internet of Value stack. So the Interledger protocol is technically like the new TCP, like it's a new stack for the new internet, which is the Internet of Value. And in this document, it showed how, it laid out Interledger, and it showed the stack where you're going to be moving packets of value over Interledger instead of packets of data. So that's the difference between the Internet of Information and the Internet of Value. That's the difference between the TCP, which is the main protocol. Let's say my understanding is the main protocol for the internet. That's the difference between TCP and the Interledger protocol. One protocol is made for packets of data, and then the Interledger protocol is made for packets of value. So that value can be, like I said, tokenized stocks, bonds, derivatives, or whatever. But like I was saying, I think some people are saying, well, Interledger protocol is neutral. Like any blockchain can use it. Any blockchain can use it to do like settlement transactions. Like, no, not really, as per my understanding. It's only XRP ledger and its decentralized exchange combined with the Interledger protocol that allows you for global liquidity. And if you look at the Hyperledger Foundation document I was talking about, where they laid out the Internet of Value, it was saying how the XRP ledger becomes the global liquidity marketplace. And here in the document that you first showed at first, it talks about fluidity, fluid, liquid, same thing, right? They're just saying fluid instead of liquid. What is XRP? What is Ripple's main product? It's on-demand liquidity. And this document that came from the Hyperledger Foundation, which is pretty much the most powerful consortium in the world. I mean, it's literally all the central banks, like commercial banks, tech companies, biggest corporations in the world. They're all there. There's like maybe 500 or 1,000 of them, all cooperating on building the blockchain evolution, right? And that's where the document came from. And but yeah, it called the XRP ledger. It said that it's the new global liquidity marketplace. And again, because the XRP ledger, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, even though if there's other blockchains connected to Interledger, they can't do what XRP ledger can do, combined with the Byzantine fault tolerance, like the consensus mechanism, combined with the decentralized exchange, combined with the different the hooks and everything else that's built around it. Nobody's other blockchains are not going to provide liquidity and allow for Stellar will a bit. Stellar, don't get me wrong, but even if Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, they tap into the Interledger or whatever, it's no XRP is the one. Like, this was specially made for XRP ledger, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's only XRP can allow to transfer from one type of asset to the other type of asset, and it's the Internet of Value. But that's why you're seeing here, it's talking about the fluidity, it's talking about Interledger, and so on and so forth. All roads lead to the XRP ledger. And Rome. All roads lead to Rome. And XRP ledger. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's right. I want to pull up something for you guys. And again, this is not me stepping on any toes or anything like that. I just want to pull this up for you guys. You may have never seen this, but it's definitely worth sharing, at least in my opinion.
Quant's demo application showcases OVERLEDGER's API and provides an example of how to build an application with the client side and server side using OVERLEDGER 2.0. OVERLEDGER 2.0 uses OAuth 2 to authenticate API requests. This token will be used in the authorization header of your API calls to OVERLEDGER. The demo application showcases the single transaction and linked transaction features, as well as enabling the creation of subscriptions, which receive status updates about transactions submitted to a DLT via a callback URL. For single transactions, first select a DLT, enter an origin ID, a destination ID, and a destination amount. Once done, click Create. The demo app will show an API output screen to demonstrate the steps that takes place each time an API call is made to OVERLEDGER. The API output screen has been slowed down for viewing. Accepting the DLT transaction fee will initiate the signing of the transaction and then execute the transaction through OVERLEDGER. The details of the transaction can then be viewed and subscribed to receive status updates to the callback URL. Subscribing to the transaction, OVERLEDGER will return a subscription ID, where clicking on transaction details will call the MDAP transaction API to retrieve status updates from OVERLEDGER, and clicking on full details will search the DLT for the transaction information. For link transactions, select the DLT that the initial transaction will be on, and which DLT will have the audit of the transaction. The initial transaction will follow the same flow as the single transaction, and once it has been executed and subscribed to, transaction updates will appear in the subscriptions page. Once the transaction is successful, an audit button will appear on the subscriptions page that will initiate the audit transaction creation flow. On the subscription page, we can also unsubscribe from receiving updates if we wish.
So there you have it. I don't know if you ever seen that, Jesse, but just remind me.
No,
you
not
think?
that one.
Yeah, just
No, I
remind me,
haven't seen that.
because you see where I'm going with that, because you mentioned, for example, only with Ripple XRP being able to switch, but literally you see there with the OVERLEDGER being able to switch. So I just want to get some of your closing thoughts, and then of course wrap up this video.
Yeah, like see that one. I don't understand exactly the mechanism, like how it worked, like why there was the other option. What I do know is that Quant, if you look at the presentation Gilbert did when they launched Quant, okay, Quant's an overlay. And he says, why would you be stuck to one blockchain when you can have access to all of them? Why would you be stuck in a silo? So Quant allows the world to build what are called multi-chain applications and pick the best features of each chain. And you look what she chose there. She chose XRP for the payment and for the transaction, and she chose Ethereum for the audit, right? So that's why Gilbert Verdian said you can pick the best features of each chain and build what are called the NDAP. So you might have like one blockchain for the transaction, another blockchain for the audit. Maybe you want another blockchain for, I don't know, the security or something, because you can pick individual features of each blockchain, right? But you saw she didn't pick Ethereum or Bitcoin for the transaction; she picked the XRP. Oh, what a coincidence, right? So, even if you can use Bitcoin, why the heck would you use Bitcoin? If you're a bank, you're moving billions of dollars. Okay, you want to do a transaction, whether it's $1 million or $1 billion, doesn't matter. Would you want to use XRP, where it has unlimited liquidity? It's going to settle within seconds, and it's literally going to cost you almost nothing. All right. Or do you want to use Bitcoin? It's going to cost you a fortune. It's going to take you an hour and a half to settle, and so on and so forth. And it's like, what are you going to choose? It doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. If I need to go, let's say I need to get somewhere, it's very, very urgent, and I need to get there in another country within a day, am I going to take my bicycle, or am I going to take my private jet? I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, right? So, like I said, Bitcoin's not the solution for transaction. I think that's why you're seeing her pick XRP and for the transaction, and Ethereum for the audit, and so forth. So she was giving a simple example, but with Quant OVERLEDGER, depending on how complicated you want your MDAP to be, whatever your business is that you're building, you could maybe tap into like 10, you can tap into 10, 15, 20 blockchains if you want. You might use another blockchain for AI to do something else. You might use energy web token blockchain because the solution you're building is for the energy grid, or like it's for the energy business or something. And then maybe another blockchain that you'll use, like I said, for AI because you need to analyze something. Then another blockchain maybe to confirm. Like, there's so many, it's unlimited. Like, every blockchain has its own perks and its own benefits, so you can pick and choose whatever features you want, and go from there. So, but even in her example, she was using XRP for the transaction, and then she was using Ethereum for the audit. And she's giving an example. I think that would be like kind of like a mini MDAP. She was just using two different blockchains there. So that's what I see. That's my my opinion. But like if you've watched any of my videos, or you guys have watched my videos on Quant, I am by no means dismissing Quant. I'm so insanely bullish on Quant because it is the internet of trust. Like there's nothing bigger than Quant. I've studied Quant maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 hours minimum, probably over the past 5 years. Obsessed, like maybe 4 to sometimes 8 hours per day, but sometimes 3 or 4 every day. You can do the math. And then XRP maybe 8,000 to 9,000 hours. So anytime I'm talking about like crazy on XRP or like, I'm not dissing Quant. If you watch my videos on Quant, you know you know what I think about Quant. Like I've done the research. Not to sound weird, but I've definitely done the research on Quant. Yeah. So that's my thoughts, buddy. XRP
Very
for
cool.
transactions. Yeah.
Very cool. Glad to share that demo with you and so on. Again, we're all learning different perspectives and whatnot, but nonetheless, there's a lot of new people who had never seen that, and there's the proof in the pudding. So, guys, do us a solid if you listen to the entire outline and simply type in this key word, and that is Commonwealth, and we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Jesse over at Apex Crypto Consulting, know what you have, know what you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.